Hi friends, Kansi here from atop Serenity Hill, and today we're playing again in my junk journal January brown paper bag journal. That's a lot. So if you're new, and this is how you're finding me through this video, then this journal is linked below how I've made it and all the things I've done so far. I am up to the, let's see where we're at. Prompt 17. I'm not going to say day 17 because if you go back, you'll notice that I combined a lot of prompts together. That was one of my challenges for myself. It ended up being was how many prompts could I do for one thing. And so my contribution to Junk Journal January was on day 16, which was Unfold, which is the third signature. Couldn't think of the word. So I have 3 signatures in my little accordion W, M, depends how you're looking at it, journal. And so my Unfold was creating these fold outs. And so you can find how I did that below in my playlist. So the prompt that I was looking at, again, go back to the prompt list here. And by the way, this was one of my prompts, which was hidden. And I get, you have a great tie and then it gets annoying and it gets in your way. And I discovered that this little envelope that I made on the front of my journal holds my tie and keeps it out of the way. It's delightful. So I decided to just stick with one prompt today for a couple of reasons. I spent some time looking at the prompts and going through, my supplies and seeing what I might want to use as far as, the junk stuff I've collected. And I wanted to use the next 3, which was fragile, bright, and bubble. And the word fragile was like, what do you use? Do you use fragile paper? I went down the rabbit hole, as I usually do, of what is fragile. And I remembered that I had bought these stickers recently, and butterflies are fragile. My first thought was actually birds. Birds are fragile. But I found the butterflies and I was like, butterfly wings are super fragile. They're so beautiful. Maybe I could just make a spread using the butterfly wings. And that's when I thought about doing it on my fold out. These fold out pages were inspired by Barbara from 49 Dragonflies. And when I watched her video, she actually did a spread that included butterflies. And so I don't remember exactly how her spread was. And knowing her style, her butterflies, I'm pretty sure were die cut. She has a very distinct style that way. But it stuck in my head. So then the butterflies came up. And so I'm kind of talking through how this page is evolving in my head, and I'm going to do it with you today because one of the things about my style of art journaling and junk journaling and creating is to always start with the fun and the play and the curiosity and the what if and how could we do that, and a big what if and curiosity, but definitely in the fun and play field. But what I've discovered over the years is that as we do that, the deep stuff shows up. And so, the emotion stuff that's happening in the world, all the things that are going on, our life experiences show up in our artwork. And sometimes it shows up at the end in a word or a sentiment. That's, for me, that's how it shows up. If I start there, I tend to not create well. I get stuck. But if I start with just play and fun and whatever, let's see what happens, then it works better. So I started with the word fragile and I went with my butterflies. I'm like, cool. Barbara's, influence, that project kind of stuck with me, her painting and the butterflies she added. And then I thought, well, how do I make the butterflies even more fragile? Because these are stickers and I don't know that they would, if I have them on, I might need them to like free float, like on a corner or something. So then I remembered that I had used this sewing pattern paper, and I was like, what if I could stick them to that, kind of like smush it up and stick a butterfly to this. Then this is a bit fragile. Tissue paper is fragile, so that also brings in the junk part the junk journal part. I always do that in quotes because, everyone's junk is a different definition. It also helps to bring in some of the brown element that I have, that neutral color that is, the coffee dyed and all that that's kind of floated through my journal. And then I sat with that for a little while, and then the next fragile part hit me. And that was that we are currently living through LA, Los Angeles, California, being on fire. And, the colors of the butterflies, the monarch butterflies, the colors of this, the fact that our life is fragile, and the people that have lost their homes, life was fragile. They didn't know it, and then one day it was gone, all their life possessions. So, I started with the fun, and I usually don't get into that type of deepness until I'm actually working in the journal, but it kept me awake, like thinking about what was going on out there. And so I went through my stuff again and started thinking about, I have this image of a tree that I got from a friend, Jamie Sawyer, and, I've used it for other things. And it's actually a tarot spread. You probably can tell from or, a card spread. The tree, and again, the fire. I found this image that one of my students sent to me. It was a picture in the fall of her backyard. I printed it on deli paper, which again is that, goes back to fragile. But it could be the representation of fire. Okay. So I wanted to kind of combine the idea of our world as fragile with the prompt, and kind of just play with that. The butterflies on the fragile. I'm just going to play with it. I don't want to, talk it to death, because that's not the point. How we all deal with what's happening there is our own personal place to be. This is just me sharing that has impacted what I'm going to do in my art journal today, and to look around and see if you're struggling with what to do in your art journal. Can you just start with what's happening around you? It can be fun. It can be hard. Can you make it fun while you're working through the hard? It can't, doesn't have to be an or situation. It can be a both and, joy and hardness and, hardship. So I think I'm just going to play and put music on, and then we'll come back and see what it is I created. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you get some inspiration from it. I hope it helps to hear me. I know you haven't watched much and I'm just still talking, but I hope it helps to hear me talk through how I come up with ideas sometimes. And it gives you permission and inspiration and invitation to just try things and see where you can take things, like what, almost like a word play, what does this mean? What does that mean? And then play from there. All right. So I'm going to start playing and see where we go. All right. I hope you join me. And I tried a few different things, stenciling with my stamp pads and a makeup sponge, which worked really good. Um, Again, looking for something that represented fire. This is actually zebra stripes, but it got the point across. So how can you see your supplies in different ways? And yeah, it really, again, starting with an idea of how can I start with the word fragile, where could I go from that, and then pulling in something that's happening in, I would say, I'm going to say my life. I don't live in LA, I live in South Carolina, but it still affects people that I know. And um, how can I express that in my journal? Okay. So this is probably a little more art journal than it is junk journal. Sometimes the lines are definitely blurred as far as what is art journaling versus what is junk journaling. Uh, but it's all art, it's all creativity, and it's all something that I think those of us that are in that space, I think everyone should be creative. Everyone is creative. Everyone should just try something simple. And I hope that this inspires you to just pick up your supplies and put them down and maybe react to something that's going on around you right now, whether it be, again, positive or negative. It's not really an or, it's a both and yeah, I'm as much as it's speaking to a tragedy that's happened right now, it also delights me in how the butterflies came out with the sewing paper. I don't ever want to see anything die or be singed or fire, but I'm excited about how I depicted that and how I could find a way to express what was in my head and my heart onto a page. All right. Again, I hope it inspires you to try something. I hope it gives you an idea of something you can do on these fun fold out pages. You probably noticed as I was going that I was, always testing out the boundaries of where the folds were and making sure that I wasn't putting anything too heavy that couldn't fold back up. Every once in a while, I'm probably going to have to go back in and glue something that pops away from it. But I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any thoughts, please comment below. Be kind. Always be kind in your comments. And I will see you all for another prompt and another video before the end of January. Thanks so much, friends.